Hello folks, I'm sorry I haven't posted a video in a while. Sometimes real life gets in the way, including a bitchin' laryngitis that I had to get over. However, I'm back and with a new episode of Lore Riposte. For those of you new to the channel, in the Lore Riposte videos I address and try to respond to the comments relating to Dark Souls lore that have been left in any of my previous lore videos. And in this occasion, I am going to tackle the big one, my most watched video, the infamous piece of near fanfiction in which I attempt to link the story of Dark Souls 2 to the one of Dark Souls 3 by discussing the invasion of the Ring City by King Vendrick. If you have not yet watched that video, I recommend you do so, because if not, you will not know what this video is talking about. You will find a link to it in the description. Now, a lot of people commented on that video, and believe it or not, a lot of the comments were either very similar or nearly identical, which is why on this occasion I am not going to do the usual and physically read all of the comments on that video. I am sorry, but that would just take too long, and I don't think the payoff would be worth it. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to post a lot of the comments on the screen while I paraphrase a bit of what their main point is, in order to attempt to respond to it. Otherwise, this video would just be unnecessarily long and repetitive. So, without much further ado, let's get on with the comments, shall we? Now, the first set of comments I'll be tackling are the ones talking about the nature of the giants. Several commenters pointed out the fact that the Dark Souls 2 giants were related to nature, and that would immediately explain why they can use pyromancy. While this is something I honestly hadn't thought about when I made the video, it is certainly a good point. Now, for those of you who do not know this, pyromancy is directly related to nature in Dark Souls lore, so nature giants being able to use pyromancies is a brilliant link to this part of the lore, so thank you for pointing that out. Another set of interesting comments pointed out the possible divergent evolutions of giants, and how Dark Souls 2 giants might just be hollowed forms of regular giants. Even though I originally would concede that this might seem to be the true state of the Dark Souls 2 giants, given some of the rage that they exhibit, I also think we need to consider the fact that hollow humans seem to lose all of their rationale and drive and just aim to consume souls, just aside from the Sable Church of Londor, of course. So if we consider these characteristics, I struggle to believe that the giants would be so driven as to follow Vendrick across the sea if they were completely hollow. However, this is a good theory nonetheless. Another interesting point brought about by commenters is that Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 giants are just probably slaves, and Dark Souls 2 giants are soldiers. I consider this as a possibility, but the sheer size and power difference between Dark Souls 1 giants and Dark Souls 2 giants makes it completely unlikely. Just think about it. How tough is it to kill one of the slave giants in Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3? Now consider how quick one can kill a soldier giant in Dark Souls 2. Heck, you can even fight several of them at the same time with not much problem. Another point that resonated on the comment section of that video has to do with Yorm the Giant. A lot of people pointed out the similarities between Yorm the Giant and the Giant Lord. While I do concede that they are very similar looking, if you look at Yorm's face, it looks human, and you cannot say the same for the Giant Lord. And while I think this is the final nail in the coffin of that particular theory, this is actually an ongoing theory in the community, Yorm the Giant being related to a Giant Lord, and even some of them point out that this might have been the person that he was protecting, but I am not gonna delve into that deeper right now. Yet some other people with this, the nature of giants, question why everyone assumes they are the same species of giants, as they could be completely unrelated. And on that note, I'm gonna read Austin Reel's comment in its entirety. I'm gonna do this because it brings a lot of insight to the table, and just might be able to answer that particular part a little bit better than I could. Great video, thank you. However, if the nature giants were originally denizens of the Ring City, wouldn't they already be corrupted by the Dark Soul? At this point, Nashandra's influence would only be a small change in comparison to the power exuded by the Pygmy lords. Also, that would be what caused the evolutionary change between the nature and adjudicator giants. So far, I think giants can be split into 4 categories. Now, first of all, I want to make a pause here. Now, if you remember in that video, I didn't say that the nature giants were originally denizens of the Ring City, but that they lived in the forests surrounding the Ring City, probably the mountains. So that is an important distinction to make. But let's move on. Mortal giants. Giants of the like found in Dark Souls 1, most notably like Yorm or Hawkeye Go. These giants are made of flesh and blood like the undead. They possess great strength, but are quite unintelligent. If you think Hawkeye Go is unintelligent, man, I don't want to know what it takes to make you consider someone intelligent. Because of their loyalty and longevity, they made good servants to the gods, often acting as guardians or for physical labor. Despite their mostly friendly disposition and servitude, they were treated with extreme prejudice, often killed en masse, due to the distrust bred by the populace. Nature giants. Giants found in Dark Souls 2, most notably the Giant Lord. Seemingly made of stone and plant matter, these giants do not appear to contain the ability for any individual higher thought, other than what they seem to be programmed for. Despite their pack mentality, they seem to have a wide variety of subspecies, varying greatly in size and shape. Even though they do not seem to be capable of an independent thought, they seem to exhibit the characteristics of a hive mind, and when one sees you, others are aware of your location. They will even attack through walls as you approach. To these giants, kinship and respect are very important. Adjudicator giants. Giants found in Dark Souls 3, mostly the DLC, most notably Father Ariandel and Adjudicator Argo. Unlike the others, these giants are quite intelligent, capable of eloquent speech, and the use of miracles and spells unattainable to the undead. These giants are fiercely loyal and will gladly sacrifice themselves for their cause if need arises. Despite their emaciation and frailty, they are incredibly powerful, even capable of summoning entire armies of phantoms by themselves. Gods. Giants found in all of the Dark Souls games, most notably Gwyn, before becoming a Lord of Cinder, and Ornstein, after absorbing Smo's essence. Gods are beings so powerful that their souls have twisted and transformed into Lord Souls. This can be achieved by absorbing and actualizing a Lord Soul. Gwyn, Nido, the Bed of Chaos, the Four Kings, Seath, the Old Iron King, Freya, the Rotten, the Lost Sinner, or by becoming so powerful by absorbing souls that your souls becomes twisted into a Lord Soul. Ornstein, Vendrick, Aldia, Nashandra, Smo, Velstad, etc. Gods have abilities beyond that of any other living being. In some cases they have been able to create life, although mostly twisted and hostile, such as the Chaos Demons or Aldia's Abominations. Despite the title of gods, however, it is possible for them to be killed. Most gods seem to be quite power-hungry, and will build armies of followers around them to achieve their pursuits. Now, while I don't necessarily agree with every single point posited here, I think that this is a very insightful comment. Thank you for this kind of comments, friend. You always spark interesting conversations in the comment sections. Now, the next big pile of comments are the ones that ask about the Dark Souls 2 giant tree right outside of the Firelink Shrine in Dark Souls 3. Now, if we take my theory that Vendrick invaded the Ring City from across the sea, then that would mean that Lordran and eventually Lothric are in the same continent as the Ring City, or in the same general area. And as such, one lonely giant tree is not so difficult to explain. It might just have been one of the giants that were left in the continent and did not invade Drang Lake, and hence he was not exterminated. I am sorry if this is an unsatisfactory response, but I think that it's a good one. Now, some other comments pointed out that Nashandra came from across the sea, and therefore Nashandra and her sisters are just like the giants. coming from a different land that is not Drangleic. Now, while I really don't remember if there's an item description or other specific dialogue options that definitely say that she came from the sea, I do remember Chancellor Welliger's dialogue.
The king had a dear queen, a woman of unparalleled beauty. Long ago, the queen came to us, alone, from a faraway land. She warned our lord of the looming threat across the seas, of the giants. The king crossed the ocean and defeated the giants with the queen at his side.
So there you go, it's very obvious that the giants lived across the sea and that Nashandra and the other shards of manas came from there. I'm going to respond also to the most negative comment left on that video, because it's quite lengthy, and even though I disagree with pretty much everything it says, it still makes some points. Yeah, there are leaps and then just bad abduction.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
The giants from Dark Souls 2 are seen at Firelink Shrine in Dark Souls 3. They are just two different species of giants. I have addressed these 2 points already. The Ring City is not from across the sea. It is sealed away at the end of time, part of Filianore's power over time, not nature, and there is no visible sea to sail away from it. The giants were beaten in Dark Souls 2, but no one has successfully invaded the Ring City. We see that Ruined Knights tried under the command of the Burnt Ivory King, but they were destroyed and subjugated. We see no evidence of Drangleic Knights in the Ring City. There is no evidence of giants like in Dark Souls 2 in the Ring City. There is also no evidence of giant culture, including their kinship and golem technology, which is a staple of their civilization. Filianore does not have the power over nature. She had just been asleep for a very long time, and the vines grew into her chamber. The reason they haven't swarmed her is just art direction by the designer so you can see her. When you break the egg, a huge burst of light appears and time changes. This is Ulasil magic. Or since Ulasil and the Ring City at one point exchanged citizens and likely knowledge, from Half-Light's set we know this, the manipulation of time and light is likely originally Filianore's thing, which the more elf-like people of Ulasil learned about. Look at Dark Souls design works for Dusk's elf-like appearance. The Ring City is also a named land anyway. It is the land of Corland. The evidence for this comes from Luthleth. Firstly, Luthleth is an exile from Corland. He straight tells us this. Luthleth is literally a small person or pygmy, and the Japanese translation shows he uses that exact word to describe himself. He also has the same skin color and build as the other lords. The transposing kiln comes from Corland too, and he knows how to use one. Filianore is holding a transposing kiln, as seen as the design works art again. Vaati has a brilliant video explaining her connection to the egg, her dreaming, and what her real power is. Overall, I think you connected dots, which already had set links. The easiest explanation for the giants looking different in Dark Souls 2 is another team worked on it, and it was their art style. Once you go with that, the rest of the theories about Vendrick attacking a city you can only get to by going to the end of time, Filianore altering the evolution of giants, etc., don't need to exist. Now, first of all, we only see a single giant tree in the whole of Dark Souls 3. Which again would be consistent with the notion that most of them were wiped out. And yes, I am in fact stating in the video that these are two different species of giant, hence why I pointed out to the divergent evolution. Now, it's very important to point out that we do not arrive to the Ring City by magic, but by air, courtesy of the Bat-winged demons. So even though Filianore's magic is at work, the notion that the whole city has been always sealed away at the end of time is patently false, especially since we have the descriptions of both the Ruined Knight set and the Herald set that showed that the Ring City was attempted to be invaded. Now, regarding the part that states that there is no sea around it, Vendrick would not have needed to disembark at the Ring City, especially since I pointed out that he probably arrived to it through the forest surrounding it. Now, onto the point of the Ivory Knights. The design of the Ivory Knights and the Ruined Knights, while similar, is not exactly the same, whereas the design of the Ruined Knight set is exactly the same as the Ruined Sentinels that served under King Vendrick in Dark Souls 2. Now, we can also read the description of the Ruined Knight set in both Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3. Now, regarding the fact that there is not a lot of artifacts or giants inside the Ring City, well, that makes sense. I never said that they were part of the Ring City or that they lived inside of the Ring City, but on the forests around it. Now, onto the Filianore situation. A lot of people commented about this, about how Filianore does not have power over nature. And here's my answer. Filianore's spear ornament. The spears of the church watch over the princess's slumber, and this serves as a proof of their fulfillment of their duty. The embellished gold cloth is woven with a crest of young grass. Young grass dew, a small transparent stone that once grazed the green young grass crest. This semi-precious gem honors a spear of church after a battle well fought, and is said to slightly enhance their blessing of protection. While held, this effect is constant. Slightly increases damage absorption and stamina regeneration. Talking about stamina regeneration, Green Blossom. Green weed shaped like a flower. Temporary boost to stamina recovery speed. Chlorantry Ring +3, which is found right outside of Filianore's church, mind you, and it's not on the ground. It's on a very, very important Gwyn statue. This old ring is named for its decorative green blossom, but its luster is long since faded. Raises stamina recovery speed. Okay, so essentially most of the items relating to Filianore have to do with either grass or stamina recovery, and stamina recovery items always have to do with greenery. Again, I would recommend that you go watch MadLuigi's video on the Chlorantry Ring. I'm gonna put a link in the description of this video. Now, additionally to all this, you can see that all around Filianore, there are things that are growing that are green, whereas any of the places that we visit that have been ravaged by time tend to be drab and gray, very ashy. So we can definitely see there's a difference there. And by the way, just saying Vaatividya said it, it's not a real argument. Vaati speculates just like everybody else. So does the Ashen Hollow. Jake speculates as well, which is, if you ask me, probably where you got that little comment about Coreland and the Ring City. He has a wonderful video about it, which I'm gonna link in the description. Now, regarding the connection with Ulusil, while we do know about it mostly due to Half-Light, the links you are presenting take just as big a leap as the ones I postured in the video. And yeah, we all know the B team designed Dark Souls 2 and that it was therefore quite different, but there are definite links that one can follow and speculate about. Just like you did with your comment, just like Vaati speculates in his videos. You just happen to dogmatically believe that these things you postulated in your comment are set links. Notion which I, of course, disagree with. Now, regarding to the inside of the egg being a transposing kiln, that's a very interesting notion that has been postulated by a lot of people before. But I'm not gonna answer to that because that would be another video altogether. Now, a lot of people postulated that I did not address what Vendrick stole specifically, and there's a good reason for that. I do not know. There's just not enough information currently in the games to incontrovertibly tell. However, based on the fact that the Dark Soul can be used to grant things some form of personality or humanity, as we can see with the Ring Knights and their weapons, I would say that it is definitely connected or is a part of the Dark Soul, or some abyss-like thing. Now the last big point that I will address here was the one talking about the Herald Legion, and how they are most definitely not Dragon Riders. I'm gonna admit that that's one of the flimsiest points in my original video. And following this, a lot of comments mentioned that the Herald Legion set looked a lot more like the Slave Knight armor than the Dragon Rider armor. And I think it makes a lot of sense, but I would not call it 100% set in stone. Just look at the 3 armors side by side and make up your own minds. What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comment section of the video. Now, I think that's gonna be it for this episode. Now, I know there are other comments in there, but I think that these were the main points that I saw being brought over and over in the comment section. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, just remember to give this video a like, and let me know what you think about these topics in the comment section. If you disagree with what I said in this video or in the other video, let me know again, and we can engage deeper in the conversation there. And also, if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, consider joining me. I try to put out content regularly, even though I went into a hiatus because of being sick and a lot of changes, a lot of personal changes that have gone on in my life. I quit my old job that let me do a lot more of this videos because, you know, it had a lot better scheduling. But I'm still gonna try and push out content here. I hope you guys have a great day. Now, my name is Cheps, and I will see you soon.